You asked me what I do, so I showed you my videos. And you still ask. I tell you that I coach physicians, and you don't know what that means. And that's okay. Even other physicians don't really know what that means. And then when I tell you that I coach nurses, nurse managers, allied health professionals, executives, and even IT professionals, it just makes it all that much more confusing. Okay, so allow me to explain. If this clears the air at all, then please share my video. If you think this would help someone you know, then definitely share my video, okay? First and foremost, I facilitate better communication. I take a situation with sticky, bumpy, icky communication, as my younger patients would say, and I make it all better. All right? That's good, right? Let me elaborate. Good communication is when you have two people handing off a patient, and the first person tells the second person all the information without any problems. That's good, right? Better communication is when that information flows and all the additional information they didn't realize that they needed just seems to slide in there without any coaxing or extra questions. That's better, right? That's better communication. That's what I facilitate. Okay? So if the nurse on shift A leaves and the nurse on shift B has to worry about whether or not they're going to have to call the A shift person in the middle of the day or the middle of the night and wake them up and ask additional questions, if they have that icky feeling between their shoulder blades that something's not quite right and they don't even know what it is that they need to ask, that's icky communication. That's sticky and bumpy, and things aren't going quite well. But if everything flows and it's smooth and you don't have that feeling and you just get the idea that everything's going to go right, that's really where we want our communication to be, right? That's what feels good, both in the workplace and in the home. So these icky, sticky situations, they can happen when we're passing a patient off from one person to another, whether it's doctors or nurses. They can happen in surgery. They can happen when you're asking for a raise. And they can lead, these situations, the stakes can be quite high. They can lead to a lot of anxiety and stress. It can get worse when you're negotiating for a contract. You may be asking for more money, or you may be asking for less tangible things like protected time off or better working conditions. Either way, you want smooth flowing conversation. You don't want it to be icky, sticky, and bumpy. And these icky situations can become some of the key drivers for burnout. Now, burnout is a huge problem in healthcare and in some other fields. And a lot of it's gotten a whole lot worse with COVID-19. Now, there are hundreds and hundreds of articles out there on burnout and several books, and more are being written every couple of months. They all seem to have several things in common. They focus on what they consider to be the causes and drivers of burnout and what they think are the cures. If you read these articles and books, you'll see that they have a lot of the same common threads. A lot of these things keep repeating. Things like wanting a reasonable workload, alignment of values, sufficient rewards, a sense of fairness. I've got some of these things written down and I'm looking at my notes here. A sense of control and strength of community. There were certain things that they all try to avoid. And those are things like feelings of ineffectiveness, emotional exhaustion, loss of meaning at work, depersonalization, loss of motivation, self-doubt, helplessness, and reduced personal accomplishment. In other words, when you're looking at burnout, there are things you want to gain, like control over your control over your workload and a sense of accomplishment, and things you want to avoid, like emotional exhaustion and depersonalization. And all of this seems pretty common sense when you look at it from a distance. But when you're locked inside of the situation, it's very difficult to verbalize these things. When I look at these lists, I see that much of it can be summed up in community, an understanding of each person's contribution, and an acknowledgement of that contribution, each person's contribution and value, an acknowledgement of that contribution and value, fairness, not just a sense of fairness, but true fairness, and communication. Now, true communication that leads to the heart of these matters, will achieve all of these. And I accomplish this by teaching personality science and the 6 intelligences. Let me explain. Personality science is the system that allows us to better communicate by truly listening to someone else and having them truly hear us as well. And I've touched on this on some of my previous videos. Feel free to go back and listen to those. They're on my YouTube channel. And if you shared these with your friends, then they're also on your wall. To learn more about personality science, you can also attend one of our Codebreaker Summits, which is a 2 to 3 day seminar, or you can join us for one of our informal happy hours, which is a quick 90-minute rundown on what this is. The 6 intelligences, though, that's a little bit different. The 6 intelligences are personality intelligence, sales intelligence, artificial intelligence, emotional intelligence, business intelligence, and spiritual intelligence. And they're like the spokes on a wheel. And if one of those spokes is short, then your wheel isn't going to run smoothly. Your life isn't going to run smoothly, and things are not going to be balanced. Let me do a quick breakdown of each of these 6 intelligences. So personality intelligence is how well you know and understand the personality science and whether or not you're actually using it every day. Are you putting it into place? Sales intelligence is influence. You say you're not in sales? Are you? Aren't you? Anytime you ask your spouse to go to a certain restaurant or try to get your children to go to bed, you're using sales intelligence. Anytime you sit across the table in a conference room or a boardroom from someone else and try to bring them, well, even if you're not trying to bring them to your opinion, if you're sitting across the table in a boardroom or conference room from someone else, you're either selling or you're being sold. Think about that for a minute. Artificial intelligence is how well you use technology to master your day, or whether it's mastering you. Emotional intelligence is whether or not you react quickly and rationally to a situation, or if you can take a moment and step back, calm yourself, and then react. And whether or not your team can react calmly. The higher your emotional intelligence, the calmer you're going to be in certain situations, and the calmer your team is going to be. And this can be the sign of a true leader. Business intelligence is where we teach you how to set up a business with a 6 and 7-digit income, including laying out a business plan so that you can have the the freedom and flexibility to build the lifestyle that you want. And last of all, and I think this one is the most important, is spiritual intelligence. Now, this is not religion. Spiritual intelligence is whether or not your day-to-day actions are in alignment with your true values. Are you living? Let me see if I can find my note. Are you living and achieving the morality and significance that you want out of life? That's spiritual intelligence. And every one of these 6 spokes in the wheel is important to lead a balanced life. Now, my passion is to battle burnout, specifically in healthcare. I've worked as a physician for 30 years. I've seen a lot of broken people trying to heal other people, and it just doesn't work. I'm sure you've heard the phrase, physician, heal yourself. Well, it also goes for nurses and nurse managers and executives. We've all got to do our part, and we've got to take care of ourselves and one another. So I started my coaching business, and as soon as I announced that I was opening my business, I disclosed that I would be doing this in healthcare. Friends asked me if it would also work in information technology. And the answer is yes, of course it would work for IT. And the company immediately expanded into that area. It was an easy segue for me because I've also worked for years in healthcare IT. And then not long after that, I was asked if it would work for burnout in parents of special needs children. As a pediatrician, I've cared for many of these children and their parents, and I'm acutely aware of the struggles that these families deal with. Yes, it will work for them as well. And in response to that, we're currently training a coach who is interested in working specifically with such families. And she's the mother of 2 special needs children herself. In summary, I truly believe in what I'm doing. I've seen it work. When this system is put into place, these are the outcomes. We see first an increase in staff satisfaction. We see an increase in patient satisfaction. We see fewer errors. And then because the staff satisfaction increases, staff retention also increases, which saves organizations money. The reduction in errors also saves organizations money. But here's the best part. We see good nurses and good physicians stepping up and becoming true leaders in their organizations. Not just good at what they do, but true leaders. There's an increased sense of teams within various units in the hospital. And because of this, you see anxiety in the organization go down. Your organization can become a magnet for where people want to work. Think of the kind of positive effects that can have on recruiting. So yes, all of this is what I do. Now, if any of this interests you, or if you would like any more information, then reach out to me. My link is posted here with the video, and you can set up a free consultation. The calendar link is right there. We also have virtual happy hours every other Monday, and you can watch for those links on my social media posts. Please share this video, and if there are any additional questions beyond that, then just reach out to me, message me, put it in the comments, whatever you feel you need to do. Thank you.